Hello. So, today's topic is going to be a little bit intense, just a warning. But also, I'm going to talk about this hopefully in a way that's empathetic towards uh, the other person. Yeah, I guess that's it. So, before we go into it, since I have this pulled up, I've released the book now. So all the chapters are basically done, even these two. I haven't posted them officially yet or edited this page um, because I'm still trying to figure out a little bit about it. Um, but also, this is just a nice background right now for the video. Um, Actually, we're going to use this one because it's more relevant. Okay, so what I want to get into today is oh shit. I'm gonna close out Facebook. Okay. So I kind of want to get into um my previous relationship, and this is something I haven't felt comfortable talking about publicly because I don't exactly want to slander the other person. Um so obviously I'm not going to name names, but the problem is that it's not like I've dated a whole lot of people, and I dated this person for like 12 years, and I think people can probably figure out who it is, and I don't want people out there to abusively approach her, which is kind of a disturbing thing. So if you're thinking about becoming an abuser, don't do it. Of course, that's not how you'll rationalize it to yourself, but just don't approach her. If you do that, I don't know. I guess I'm powerless, and it's partly on me for doing this, but at the same time, this sort of problem is. I don't like the fact that it feels like I'm not even allowed to acknowledge what's happened. Like, I have to protect her from what she did to me, and now kind of like. I have to protect her from other people freaking out about it. And it makes it feel like I have to, like, I don't know, like, so for example, my life basically fell apart on some level after the relationship ended, which is kind of the main focus of what I'm going to get into here. Like, why it happened like that. Um, and Part of that journey has involved me kind of like watching myself get destroyed, and also not having any excuse or any uh, explanation for why I'm doing poorly in other areas of my life. It's basically like a lot of my life has been rendered meaningless suddenly, and I have to pretend like nothing changed and I'm just insane and broken. And that's why I'm like, let's say, not writing as much or other things like that. Although I'm mostly better now. Like, I've just finished writing this book, and so like that's not exactly a problem, but there still are other problems that have not been fixed. Like that I had a sense of where my career should go, and I had a sense of what kind of life I was going to build. And now it's like the alternative life is that I'm going to, like, say, become an academic and be entirely alone, and just be living this like harsh situation where it's like nothing matters and no one cares. Like, I'm just like floating on some rock in space, and I'm supposed to like contribute to everyone else's lives without having a life of my own. It's kind of like what it feels like. And I don't think people empathize with that as much. Like, people will obviously tell me that I need to just restart and build, and that's going to happen probably inevitably. But it's just now it's kind of like like some part of me almost thinks like, what if I just go off the deep end and just do crazy stuff? Like nothing's holding me back now. Like I had a lot to lose before. Now it's kind of just like there's just nothing. Like it's almost like on an emotional level being homeless suddenly. Like if you're homeless, I feel like you're not like trying to like prove to everyone that you, I mean some people will, but most for the most part people are not trying to like maintain their reputation or something like that. Like I think reputation is what holds a lot of people into their sanity or whatever, and also a lot of tangible things that they can lose. Like the reputation is what the reputation is the glue holding together their lives, like their jobs, their families, their friends, everything. So it's like there's a lot of incentives and biases that are kind of guiding our behavior away from acting as if we were purely alone. I think if people are purely alone, that actually opens the doors to like some really insane stuff, which I don't want to be the reality of things, and I'm going to make sure it's not. But it makes me empathize with how people start to do crazy things. And so how did I get here? I got here because my love was consumed by her fears. At least this is how I'm interpreting it now. And it's not just that. There were so many other problems, but this is the one I'm going to focus on today. Um, like, she also had problems with me, and I had my own problems. We were both kind of problematic people. And we also disagreed about which trajectory our lives should go to some degree. But I also was, I think we were both kind of compromising a little bit, and I think that's normal to kind of try to build some sort of cooperative situation. Um, the thing that I think happened was I think her fears subtly created an entire life around us. And it was more overt at first, and I actually tried to leave at first, and that didn't happen. And I actually think me trying to leave enhanced the fears. I think she was afraid of abandonment, basically. And when I did actually try to abandon her, that became like the most obviously apparent. She was really not wanting that. And eventually, though, I didn't actually want to abandon her. I think I became really attached, and our life was actually really good together in some ways, in a lot of ways. And I'll explain that part after I get through some of the bad parts. So, the first problematic thing was that she pressured me, or I don't remember exactly if she literally asked me, but there was really strong incentives for me to not maintain connections with my entire friend group, and it became like a whole thing where like I think the thing I did wrong was I would try to like rather than defend my desires, I would say things like, well, this is hurting my friends. We got to care about them. And I think I was doing this out of like trying to seem like virtuous maybe, or also not to seem selfishly protecting myself as if I didn't deserve any needs or rights. Um so I think I like put it on them, and then her response would be sort of like, well, I don't care about what they're thinking. This is about us. And I think I never realized how I need to fight for my own rights. So there was like it's like I think we both contributed through either our naivety or, well, I think hugely that. I think I think the things that she was doing, I don't think she was consciously like trying to destroy me or something. And it didn't even result in her destroying me. It actually, like, she lifted me up in a lot of ways that now I am, I feel like leaving her is a catastrophe. And so that's where we're going to go with this right now. I think to solve the fear of abandonment, you just have to make abandonment the worst possible action to ever take. And to do that, you make you make staying in the relationship much better, but you also make leaving it really bad. And I think that this manifested in ways that I don't think either of us were thinking about. I didn't even realize this after 12 years until like a year or two after breaking up. So, as an example, I think me having friendships outside of our relationship was threatening. That was a safety net, and also they were kind of like police to her. If she did anything, my friends could just judge her for it and um, try to take control of me. It becomes like this culture war where my friends and my girlfriend will fight over who's right in a weird way. And I think I probably helped create that. And in a weird way, I almost wonder if the early experiences we had with my original friend group led to all the next, like they set the precedent for everything else. And maybe even conditioned her and me to behave in certain ways that uh, kind of reinforced and recreated that scenario over and over again. Because it's kind of set the framing of like, this is who Gage is, this is what relationships are like, this is how it works. It kind of like frames the world around us. So, what would end up happening is anytime I had a friendship outside of, like, we would build mutual friendships, and that was never a problem. It was especially never a problem the more that they were her friends rather than mine. And eventually it became a situation where all of our friendships together were, it was just mutual friendships that were mostly hers. And I was afraid to form friendships because of the potential conflict that would arise. So my fear that she would be in conflict with my friends and that it would result in some sort of like traumatic or embarrassing situation would pressure me to not even try. Like I would keep everyone at a distance. And I basically like pushed all my friends away by continuously not allowing them to get close to me. And I even think that that changed the way that I see friendships in general. Like, I'm not sure. I don't know about that. I get close to people, but I think there's still certain things I might not do. I'm not sure. I'm not going to get into that yet, though. So, as an example of weird, traumatic sort of situations, there was a time where I did some horrible thing on her birthday. And I think it was something like I forgot about it. But I don't think it was like I entirely forgot about it. I think it was like, I don't know. But also, I think it was like also that we agreed to do it on a day other than our birthday. And that freaked her out or something too. Like, I don't remember the details of it, but let's. Because, like, right now, I think the way I'm framing it, I'm probably going to frame it, since I don't remember, I'm probably going to frame it in a way that's in favor of making me look better. Um, which, right now, at this moment, I actually do think that she would be a villain in that situation, which is also why, since I don't remember, I don't want to even try, because I think it's going to create uh, something biased. So let's just say I did something horrible on her birthday, and something related to not forgetting or not giving her the kind of attention that she wanted. Something that seemed neglectful or that I showed that I don't care about her. I know for sure it was something like that. And then later, I went to my best friend's birthday, and we went to a restaurant, and there was a bunch of strangers that I don't know. And what she did was she spam called me literally consecutively, like no break. Like I would have like 40 missed calls, and I would be like panicking. I would like go into the bathroom and like freak out, like, no, you can't do this. This is so bad. They're all gonna think you're abusive. And she'd basically kind of like be like, I don't care what they think. You're fucked up. Like, this is fucked up of you. Like, you did this stuff on my birthday, and now you're gonna go respect your friend more than me? And I don't think that she stopped me from going to the birthday in the first place. I think she like kind of like bottled it up and then couldn't handle it. Like she thought she would be able to handle it, and then she couldn't handle it. And so then she kind of like freaked out, and this caused me to feel extremely afraid of, like, I felt like I had to either justify or hide what she was doing. Otherwise, these people would be like, they're already going to be upset. Like, it's almost like I'm being forced to abuse these random people and my best friend in a weird way. And like almost like I'm supposed to maybe like shut off my phone and just entirely ignore her, but then I would get afraid, like, what if she hurts herself and stuff like that. Like, it was a whole power dynamic, and it was like a weird situation where I don't think my friends could even understand it, especially my best friend, who hadn't really even had relationships at all. So it's like he was almost having, I don't know, I think his perspective was very different because of that. And it kind of like, our relationship as best friends kind of was like a trippy component. And I'm sure that my relationship with her, my girlfriend then, was kind of like, I'm sure it did things to him. Um, so basically, I would avoid becoming close enough. Like, I would pretty much probably make sure that I don't become friends enough with people that they would ask me to go to their birthday after events like this, because I'm afraid that that would happen. And so I'd keep people at arm's length in order to avoid getting traumatized again. And so basically, over time, I think her fears of my friends and my fears of her reaction to them pushed me into living my life without having friendships outside of our relationship. And if it isn't clear already, what this means is if I break up with her, I'll lose all my friends. And that's what happened. And then I think my friends, it seemed like they didn't care. And then I thought, like, maybe they were never my friends. Like, I was an accessory to my girlfriend, and maybe, like, I feel like I have all this paranoia that they just talk shit and have no empathy and maybe don't even know about what I went through or what we went through. And I think even my ex wanted to frame it to protect herself. I would imagine that she would frame me as like this horrible person, and also try to make sure I never try to contact them again, because that basically did happen. I'm not going to go into the details of that part because that gets into sketchy territory that I think would, like, inevitably, it's like she did something really wrong in that situation to where I wouldn't be able to justify it and it would just make her seem like a monster. Um, and I'm trying to avoid that because I really don't think she's a monster and I don't think I can show you everything that's happened. Like, if you think she's a monster, I almost think that you're fucked up. But I see how what I went through is insanely fucked up. Like, it's almost like psychopathically fucked up. But this is also ignoring that I was cruel to her at times and I was naive to her at times in ways that would hurt her. Um, like, I probably did things that amplified her fear of abandonment and stuff like that. I think I convinced her originally that my friends are a threat to her. So it's like, it's not really as simple. And I think I was doing that to manipulate her. I think I was afraid to stand up for myself, so I kind of like used my friends to kind of be like, I'm not selfish. Look at these people. They matter. And I think that was bad. I think I was supposed to be selfish. And I think ever since then, even if I grew out of this pattern this was like high school, by the way, that during high school is when I think I was more manipulative. And I think that's because I was naive and didn't realize, like, I don't think I was just consciously manipulative or so much immoral. I think I didn't know the implications of what I'm doing. And I think that's mostly where she's at all the time, or at least during our relationship. And maybe she even realized it. I think it's possible she realized it, and that's part of why we broke up. But at the same time, since she did something horrible after, I also have the sense that she broke up with me because of some sort of paranoia. I actually don't have closure, and this bothers me. And during that, like, the breakup was weird enough. Things were weird enough in the relationship that I didn't fully understand that we were broken up. And so I went to one of our mutual friends and, like, in order to resolve the thing I'm talking about that's fucked up, that was happening, I went to our mutual friend to ask, like, if they had any idea about, like, how my ex is doing or something like that. I asked, like, I think I just said, can I, weird. I just noticed, it said, I don't know if you saw it, but down here it said anime abuse. I don't know what that was about. I don't see anime. Oh, abuse drawings. So it's probably like up here. Oh, there it is. Weird. What a weird category for abuse. Hold on. Oh. Okay, so anyways, back to the topic. I'll scroll so we can get somewhere else. So I don't know. It's like really hard to tell because I think part of her was thinking I'm doing something evil. Like, I have this suspicion she thinks I was cheating or something. Or she thinks I was moving on and abandoning her, and that I was fucked up in some way. And I think that she justified doing other things because of that or something like that. Because I don't really think she's pure evil. She did a lot of nice things with me too. And I'm gonna check the time. We're 24 minutes in. I'm gonna see if anyone's in the chat too. Can't really tell. There might be people in the chat. No one said anything. If you're in the chat, say hello. So let me just check again. Oh, I'm gonna like back up. Okay, so besides, so with this fear of abandonment, I think the best way to solve it is, I don't think it's conscious. I think what becomes conscious is that there's a discomfort that biases our behaviors. So, like, my ex would probably feel it like if I'm making a friend, she probably has this paranoia in the back of her head that this is sketchy or that I make bad friends. It might be something like that I tend to hang out with people that are fucked up, or that I will hang out with people that don't care about our relationship. That's probably it. It's probably like because of what I did before, she probably thinks I'm willing to talk with people that hate her, or something like that, or they don't have any empathy for her. And then because of that, her knowing that that's even possible, or that I might do that without being considerate, I think she'll see through this paranoid lens that people won't care about her. And so I think because of that, she'll try to reduce that fear by doing just all kinds of things, like getting upset if I am hanging out with other people too much or something, and or at all. But besides like this kind of thing, I think that it wasn't just who I talked to. I think it was like my entire life was embedded with hers. I think that my life outside of her was a disaster. There was basically nothing left. Like I wasn't building any life outside of the co-op life that we were creating, which wasn't even bad. That's the part that gets weird. So I said all this bad stuff, and I had people react before like, why would you stay? And it's like, literally leaving that ruined my life. That's how it feels. So like, why wouldn't I leave? Because now that I have, my life is horrible. Like, now I barely have connections in real life, and um like I basically lost all my friends. I didn't really have much of a family before this, and I was embedded in her family, even her extended family. Like we would go visit her sister's house, and there'd be like parties, and we got to know like her extended family. Like I even lived in her house before. So it's like I miss her family. I miss her. I still feel like I love her. But also like there's enough distance now that I'm not really like, I don't miss her. Like I don't feel the missing her right now, but if I like meditated on what it used to be like and how I don't have it, yeah, I'll miss her. We would travel together. We would go to Colorado, to like Mexico. Um, we traveled to San Francisco. We did like activist stuff together. We did like so much. Our life was so rich in a way. And we were trying to continue building a rich life in the future. And now it's like my option is to what? Like what should I do? Just like get like some really demanding academic position, fill all my time with doing academics, talk to only online people, and then like I don't know, like buy alcohol or cannabis or something and just like fade into oblivion, like live in a dream world? Do I travel alone, even though I'm having like agoraphobia from the lack of human like connection? I have to meet new people and then what? Wait 12 years to get back to where I was? Like that sounds insane. That's like a huge thing. And I do think I don't know. I think I can connect with people more shallowly at first, or even maybe deeply in a short period of time, maybe. But my experience is that like I can have really deep conversations with someone and feel like, wow, this person's interesting, and then just never talk to them again. Like I've done that a lot. And then there's no motivation to talk to them. I think bonding is not exactly about purely just knowing things or the conceptual framework. I think it's literally like conditioning. Like I think through exposure to a person, you become attached and you become more afraid that they'll not be in your life, and you are more addicted to the fact that they're in your life. Like, I think that's what happened with me and this person in a way, but also there were a lot of tangible benefits. Like, I mean, we were in love. We would cuddle together, watch like anime together. We would watch movies and all that stuff. We would cook together, all these like interesting foods. We would um I'd go out and do things. We would travel. We would talk super deeply about our intimate thoughts and feelings. And part of my life goal was to build like a future that both of us would like. Like, I wanted to be successful partly because there was this pressure, not just from her, but her family, like all of our friends. Like, I couldn't just like spiral into the abyss knowing it, like, all of our friends and our family and her would all be like, oh my God, what's going on? Right now, it's kind of like the people in my life, I think now, I think they sort of accept or expect me to spiral into oblivion. And I think that in itself has been a whole separate destructive force. It's like kind of like a self fulfilling prophecy thing. And I don't know how strongly people think those things about me, but I do think that there are people, the closest people to me, I do think, have a mentality like that and impose that kind of expectation onto me. Not on purpose, like they're not trying to impose it. I think it's just the mere fact that they believe it, imposes it onto me. Like if someone talks to you like with a sense of pity and like talks to you like, oh God, you're in a situation that you couldn't possibly escape. Like that would like that's just implicitly like it's like you're literally saying that they're not going to ever escape and that they envision a future for you that's like, let's say, going homeless or something. Like it's not exactly like my situation, but there's not like my ex had some amount of belief that I'm going to be very, very wildly successful or something like that. We were both convinced that each other would be like that, and I think she lost confidence in that. And I think her lack of confidence in that also contributed to destroying my sense of confidence because it started like this dynamic that I just described. She started to engage in that with me to a degree that, like, when I went to university, she was like, I don't think you're going to succeed there. I think that this is a trap, and I think you're going to fail like you've failed in the past. And I don't believe in you, and we might have to break up. Like, that conversation kept coming up. But then she would also cry, saying she missed me. And then at some point, we actually did kind of break up, but it wasn't very clear because we continued talking and it didn't seem like much changed. And there were other things where it was like things were happening where it should have only happened if we were together. That's where the fucked up part comes. And that's where I got confused. And then when I went to her friends to kind of figure it out, I think they thought I was just crazy, which is understandable, but it's like so annoying because I'm not crazy. Like, I was wrong. Like, I misunderstood that we weren't together. But it's not like after they told me that I'm like, no, 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 we're together. I'm in denial. Like, I was like, oh shit, this is not good. Like, I wasn't I didn't have this understanding. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then in order to kind of justify that, I basically had to bring up what fucked up stuff was going on. And then she denied it. My ex denied it for another year. And then later, she did admit it only like a couple months ago. She admitted the exact methods at which she was doing a certain thing. And like, I don't want to get into that though. Like, but I mean, obviously I want to for my own validation, but then I have to sacrifice her image or threaten her reputation or potentially invoke some sort of problem, a social or legal problem or something, which I don't want to do. Like, I'm not interested in that path. Um, so, uh, yeah, so I guess you should be careful. You should be careful about noticing this happening in your relationship. Like maybe even the best way I would imagine to approach this, because I think it's going to be really hard to dissect the motives to every behavior and like try to like psychoanalyze everything, is just have a conversation about your deepest fears in the relationship and your greatest desires. And that's a conversation that might not happen immediately, and some people might not even have the capacity to engage in that discussion, in which case, proceed with caution. Then you can rely on your own psychoanalysis, and also what people report as their desires and fears. They might be tainted by their desires and fears. They might be tainted with how they want you to see them, how they desire you to see them, and how that benefits them for you to see them that way. Because there's a lot of things where so whatever's stigmatized, if we stigmatize, like if we say that uh, I'm like, if I said I'm afraid when you hang out with your friends, that sounds like you're admitting that you have an abusive desire. And so people would want to hide that. And the fact that we stigmatize, we should make sure we don't stigmatize the fear of that. Otherwise, all it's going to do is perpetuate covert abusive patterns. Even to the point that I think the abusers won't realize it. So, this is kind of my story. I'm probably going to stop it here. This was an emotional one, although I didn't express much emotion. I don't exactly feel super emotional right now, but I feel a little bit. I feel motivated to talk about it. In the future, I'd like to get into content where I actually might be able to engage emotionally, but it's very hard. But I think it's also more valuable. Yeah, so I hope this was useful to you. Stay safe out there. And have a good day. Hi, wait. Nosy Bonk, I see you there. Welcome. I don't know if you're still there, but now that I've already announced the ending of the stream, it's a little bit awkward if I keep going, right? I'll stop the recording.